France? It's the most visited country on the entire planet.
It really is something, isn't it? Millions and millions every year.
So what's the draw? What pulls everyone in? That's what we're hoping to unpack a bit today.
Exactly. And we've got a couple of interesting sources to guide us. There's this quite personal video travel log. Someone sharing their top 25 spots across France.
Okay, like a personal highlight reel?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then there's a shorter piece, just a 3-minute audio guide sketching out the main regions and, those classic French experiences.
Right. So our plan isn't just to list places, but to kind of blend these perspectives, get into the details, maybe find some things that aren't in every guidebook alongside the big names.
Yeah, try and figure out what makes France, well, France.
Okay, let's dive in. The video kicks off up in Normandy, a place called Etretat, about 3 hours northwest of Paris, it says.
That's right. And the first thing that hits you, or at least hit the person in the video, is the scale of the sea cliffs there.
Oh, yeah. How so?
They were described as freaking huge, apparently much, much bigger than anticipated. It really sets the scene for France's dramatic coastline, right off the bat.
And it's not just looking up from below.
No, you can walk on the Pebble Beach, definitely, but also stroll along the boardwalk right on top of them. Gives you both perspectives.
Standing underneath something that massive.
Yeah,
There's something powerful about that, isn't there?
I think so. That feeling of, being dwarfed by nature.
Right.
And Etretat has these specific landmarks, too.
Like what?
Well, video points out 3 natural sea arches, which are pretty spectacular, and this very sharp, pointed sea stack called l'Aiguille, the needle.
Oh, right. Almost like sculptures carved by the sea.
Exactly. And get this, the whole atmosphere can apparently just switch when the sea fog rolls in.
Oh, wow. Creates a different mood.
Totally. Kind of ethereal, mysterious. And the tip was to stick around for sunset. See the cliffs glow orange.
Okay, that sounds pretty special. You can see why artists would flock there.
Definitely. So from those northern cliffs, we jump quite a distance south down to Corsica, the island just above Sardinia.
Corsica, right. So a totally different vibe from Normandy, I imagine.
Completely. It shows the sheer variety France offers. It's not all Paris and vineyards. You've got these rugged Mediterranean islands. The video really highlights the contrast, jagged mountains inland, then this stunning coastline.
And Bonifacio sounds amazing. A medieval town built right on top of white limestone cliffs.
Yeah, they call it the Mediterranean Sentinel, perched right on the southern tip. You could just picture how strategic that must have been.
For sure. Hard to attack, must have shaped its whole history.
Absolutely. Defense was key.
Yeah.
But then you also have places like the Calanque de Piana.
Calanque, what are those exactly?
There's these amazing steep-walled inlets, basically fjord-like cuts into the coast. But in Piana, the rock is this sharp reddish color, plunging right into the sea.
Red cliffs, that must be visually stunning.
Apparently so. And there's a road, a winding one that goes right through them.
Okay, sounds like a drive where you need to focus, but maybe pull over a lot.
Probably a good idea. And they do mention beaches too, like Plage de Boussalia, if you want to get down to the water.
Good to know. All right, big change of scenery now. Heading towards the French Alps, the video creators seem to really love this region.
Yeah, you get that sense. And the focus starts with Mont Blanc.
The big one. Highest in the Alps.
Exactly, 4,807 meters. Although, interestingly, the video notes it doesn't have maybe the most, dramatic-looking peak compared to some neighbors, but its sheer size is undeniable.
Right. And Chamonix is the town at its base.
That's the one. Described as a hub for skiing, hiking, kind of like a French Vermont, which paints a nice picture.
A French Vermont, I like that. Cozy but adventurous. Okay, now tell me about this gondola ride. Agay du Midi. Record-breaking vertical ascent.
Yeah, it's a massive climb by cable car, over 2,800 meters pretty quickly.
Wow, must be quite the view. Any downsides?
Well, the video flags the cost around 69 euros round trip, which isn't cheap, and the potential for it to get really crowded.
Ah, okay. Good to know. Worth planning ahead, sounds like.
Definitely. But once you're up there, 3,843 meters, you feel the thin air.
And what's it like at the top? Just a viewing platform?
More than that, actually. It's described as a labyrinth of tunnels and walkways cut into the rock. And platforms, of course, with incredible views of Mont Blanc.
Tunnels in the rock. That's cool.
Yeah, and there's even an exit point for actual mountaineers heading out onto the glacier.
Seriously? So tourists and serious climbers side by side?
Kind of, yeah. It highlights the raw nature of the place. And speaking of glaciers, there's the Mer de Glace.
The Sea of Ice, second largest in Europe.
That's the one. Accessible by a little mountain train, which is part of a multi-pass you can get. Costs around 83 euros. but includes the Galgi Midi lift too.
Okay, that sounds like a better deal if you're doing both.
Could be. And the train ride itself is scenic. Tip from the video: sit on the left on the way up for the best views.
Noted. Left side. What's striking about the glacier itself?
Well, aside from the jagged mountains around it, the video mentions seeing historical photos alongside the current glacier. The difference, the shrinkage, it's a pretty stark visual.
Oh, wow. A real marker of climate change right there.
Yeah, quite sobering. But there's also a restaurant and hotel up there, apparently. A
Right.
dramatic spot for a meal.
I'll bet. Okay, so from the high mountains, where next?
We shift down a bit, about an hour from Chamonix to Annecy.
Annecy. Ah, Venice of the Alps. I've heard of this one.
Exactly. Known for its canals running through the old town, it sounds incredibly charming. And it's on Lake Annecy, which is supposed to be one of the cleanest lakes in Europe.
Clean lake, canals. Sounds like a lovely place to just wander. More relaxed than the high peaks.
Seems like it. And there's also a castle nearby, Chateau de Mont-Saint-Bernard.
Okay, tell me about the castle.
It's old, like really old, built around 1,000 years ago. It's described as impressive, really well preserved, with a huge courtyard and quite a luxurious interior.
1,000 years. Imagine the history. Is it expensive to visit?
The video mentioned an €11 entry fee, which sounds pretty reasonable to step inside something that ancient.
Definitely. Okay, so from Alps and lakes, we're heading somewhere different again. Alsace, that region bordering Germany and Switzerland.
Right. And Alsace has this really distinct feel because of that border location. It's switched between French and German control several times throughout history.
And you can see that mix.
Yeah, and the architecture, the food, the wine, it's got its own unique culture. The video mentions cities like Strasbourg, where the European Parliament sits, and Colmar as being really enchanting, like fairy tale towns.
Fairy tale towns. And wine, you mentioned?
Oh yeah, the Alsace wine route. It's about 170 kilometers long,
Yeah.
winding through vineyards and picturesque villages.
Sounds lovely, even if you're not a massive wine drinker.
Apparently so.
Mhm.
And one village, Reykjavir, is even thought to have inspired the town in Disney's Beauty and the Beast.
No way. Really, that's a great little detail.
Isn't it? Connects it right to something familiar. So from fairy tales, we finally arrive in Paris.
The big one. Can't really talk about France without Paris.
Absolutely not. Both sources highlight its importance: finance, diplomacy, fashion, art, and of course, being one of the most visited cities globally.
The icons are just huge, aren't they? The Eiffel Tower, built for a World Fair back in 1889. Hard to believe it was the tallest structure in the world for decades.
It really dominated the skyline. And then there's the Louvre, world's largest art museum, home of the Mona Lisa. You just have to mention
Of
it.
course. Any other Paris highlights mentioned?
Briefly, yeah. The Arc de Triomphe, the grandeur of the Palace of Versailles just outside the city. And the shorter guide makes sure to mention the essentials: pastries, croissants, macarons.
Ah, yes, the food and the
Yeah.
bistros, that classic Parisian cafe culture.
Exactly, you can't miss that.
Right. Okay, leaving Paris now. Where does the journey take us?
To the Loire Valley, only about a 2-hour drive from Paris, apparently. And it's known as the Chateau capital of the world.
Chateau capital. How many are we talking?
Over 300 castles in the region.
300. Wow. Why so many there?
Seems like a mix of things. Good strategic location, fertile land making people wealthy, and a lot of competition between French royalty and nobility. Everyone wanted the biggest and best place.
Keeping up with the Joneses, castle style. Any specific ones highlighted?
2 main ones. First, Chateau de Chambord. It's the largest in the valley. Huge estate, apparently as big as Paris itself.
As big as Paris, the grounds.
That's what the video said. And there's a rumor Leonardo da Vinci might have had a hand in the design. Took 28 years to build, finished in 1547. It even has a perfectly square moat.
Impressive. And the other one?
Chateau de Chenonceau. This one's famous because it's actually built across a river, the River Cher, supported by these elegant arches. Visually very distinct and beautiful.
Built over the water. That sounds stunning. Okay, so from castles, we're heading south again.
Yep, down to the southeast coast, the famous French Riviera or Côte d'Azur.
Ah, the Riviera. Glamour, sunshine, coastline.
Pretty much sums it up. The video starts in Menton. Is known for colorful buildings with the Maritime Alps rising up behind them.
Nice backdrop.
Yeah, and it has an interesting history. It was actually part of Italy until 1860, plus a great boardwalk and a lighthouse pier for views.
Okay, and then there's Ez.
Ez. This one got a big reaction in the video. It's a medieval town perched way up on a hilltop overlooking the sea. Described as maybe The coolest medieval place visited.
High praise. What makes it so special?
I think it's that feeling of stepping back in time. You know, winding stone stairs, cobblestone paths, little tunnel walkways. Very atmospheric.
Sounds amazing. Anything else there?
There's an exotic garden right at the top. Full of interesting plants, but mainly for the panoramic views of the Riviera. Costs about €6 to get in.
Worth it for the view alone, probably. What about the bigger names on the Riviera?
Oh.
Nice.
Cannes, they get mentions, yeah. Nice is the main city with the airport. Cannes, obviously famous for the film festival, the glamour, the wealthy visitors.
Right, but it sounds like the coast outside the cities is worth exploring too.
Definitely. The video highlights the Estrel coastline just past Cannes. It's known for its dramatic red rock cliffs.
More red rocks, like in Corsica?
Similar color, yeah. Red cliffs, hidden coves, little red rock islands, secluded beaches. Sounds beautiful and maybe a bit wilder.
And Cap Ferrat, I think I saw that mentioned.
Yeah, Cap Ferrat. There's an island there with a watchtower built in the 20th century, but it looks medieval. Apparently, it might have inspired the Black Island in the Tintin comics.
Oh, Tintin. That's a fun connection. Good for diving there, too, it seems.
Yeah, mentioned as a good freediving spot. And the coastline around there is generally scenic.
Okay, and Saint-Tropez, that's another famous one.
It is. About an hour-and-a-half drive from Nice. Originally a fishing village, then a military stronghold. Interestingly, it was the first town on the Riviera liberated during World War II.
Wow, didn't know that before it became known for, well, yachts and parties.
Exactly. Beaches, nightlife, huge yachts now. But the video notes it's still quite small, with charming streets and a nice coastal path to walk.
So, still retains some charm beneath the glitz.
Seems so. But the real personal favorite in the south, according to the video, was Cassis.
Cassis. Why was that one so special?
It's a seaside town overlooked by Cap Canet, which has the highest sea cliffs in France, 394 meters.
Higher than Etretat.
Higher, yes.
Yeah.
So you've got this charming town with a beach, a castle, a harbor full of boats, and then these massive cliffs looming over it. Plus a walk out to a lighthouse. Sounds like a perfect blend.
It really does, but the main attraction there seems to be the Calanque again.
Yes. The Calanque near Cassis are particularly famous. Those incredible coves, sheer cliffs, crystal clear water. Calanque d'Envaux gets a special mention.
Right, I've seen pictures. They look almost unreal. How do you visit them?
You've got options. Boat tours are popular, give you great views from the water, but you generally can't land on the beaches.
Ah, okay. So just sightseeing from the boat.
Pretty much. Or you can kayak or paddleboard in, which lets you actually get to the beaches and explore more freely.
That sounds more appealing. More effort, though.
Definitely. And the third option is hiking. The video describes a 7-kilometer hike to Calanque de Morgiou.
7 kilometers. Tough hike.
Sounds challenging, yeah. Especially a steep descent near the end. But the reward is this incredible beach, white cliffs, pine trees, pebbles, clear water, and even cliff jumping spots.
Okay, that sounds like a proper adventure. Worth the hike.
Seems like it. Now, moving inland from the coast, the Verdun Gorge.
The Grand Canyon of Europe, that bright blue water.
Exactly. The view from Ponta Galetas is iconic, those dramatic cliffs plunging down. It really is impressive.
How do you experience that? Just look from the bridge.
It's one way, but you can also get down on the water, rent boats, paddle boards, look up at the cliffs from below, or drive along the roads at the top for those big panoramic views.
Right, see it from different angles. Okay, shifting gears now to something historical.
Carcassonne. Carcassonne. It's like the textbook example of a medieval European fortress city in southern France.
It looks incredible in photos. Really fortified.
It is. Started as a Roman hilltop fort, then given to the Visigoths, a Germanic people, and heavily fortified over centuries. It was considered pretty much impregnable. It's got 53 towers and 2 huge outer walls.
53 towers. It really feels like stepping back into the Middle Ages.
It's supposed to be remarkably well preserved. And for more natural drama, the trip heads to the Pyrenees Mountains.
On the border with Spain, different from the Alps.
A bit, yeah. Maybe more rugged in feel sometimes. The video highlights 2 spots. The Cirque de Gavarnie.
Cirque, like a circle.
Sort of, yeah. It's a massive natural bowl, like an amphitheater, carved by glaciers with huge waterfalls cascading down. Very dramatic.
Sounds spectacular. And the other spot?
Lac de Gaube. A mountain lake you can reach via a nice 2-hour hike, apparently offering great mountain views along the way.
Okay, so more stunning mountain scenery. France just keeps delivering. Where to next?
Last region explored is Brittany, way up on the northwestern tip.
Brittany. known for rugged coasts and lighthouses.
He definitely has those. Le Conquet is mentioned as a lovely coastal town with a picturesque harbor and the Cromorvan Lighthouse. But the real focus in the video, maybe the most unique thing about Brittany, is the ancient history.
Ancient history, what kind?
Megalithic monuments. Thousands of massive standing stones, ancient tombs, some arranged in lines or circles by Neolithic people over 7,000 years ago.
7,000 years? That's incredible. Before written history.
Exactly. Places like Karnak. It's mind-boggling to think about who built them and why, a real connection to a very distant past.
Wow. That sounds truly fascinating. A different kind of historical site altogether.
It really is. But for the grand finale, the journey ends back in Normandy, at a place the video creator calls truly magical and a personal favorite.
Let me guess. Mont Saint-Michel.
You got it.
Yeah.
Mont Saint-Michel. It just looks unreal, doesn't it? That abbey perched on the tidal island.
It really does. How do you get there?
You have to park off the island now. Then you can take a shuttle bus or you can walk across the causeway. The video strongly recommends walking.
Why walk?
To really soak in the approach, see the island getting closer, experience the scale of it. Builds the anticipation.
Makes sense. And what's it like once you're inside the walls?
The description compared it to walking into Diagon Alley from Harry Potter. Winding, narrow alleyways, lots of atmosphere.
Ah, okay, I can picture that. And the abbey itself?
Huge. Impressive. Construction started way back in the 10th century. Its position was incredibly strategic, of course. And those tides.
Right, the famous tides. They come in really fast.
Super fast. Historically, that was its best defense. The sea would just surround the island, cutting it off. The video captures the tide rushing in at sunset.
Must be amazing to watch. Any other little details?
Yeah, encountering sheep grazing in the salt marshes around the island. And then in the morning, seeing a whole herd of sheep being moved through the actual streets of the Mont.
Sheep in the streets. That sounds wonderfully bizarre and charming.
Definitely adds to the unique, almost surreal feel of the place.
So, looking back at everything, it's just staggering, isn't it? The sheer diversity, cliffs, mountains, islands, cities, castles, ancient stones.
All packed into one country. It really is remarkable. You can see why it draws so many people.
And like the video said, this was just scratching the surface. Apparently there's a part 2 planned for that travelogue.
Which means there's even more to see and talk about.
Absolutely. Which kind of leads us to a final thought for you, listening. We've covered a lot. From Etretat's cliffs to Mont Saint-Michel's magic. What single thing sparked your curiosity the most?
Yeah, what part of France makes you think, I want to know more about that? Or maybe even, I need to go there.
Something to ponder? Maybe it's the Calanque, maybe the Alps, maybe the history of Alsace. We really encourage you to dig a bit deeper into whatever resonated.
A great starting point for your own exploration, perhaps.
And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the incredible variety of France.